Hey everyone, Piano Man Chuck here. I have with me today two Roland battery operated stereo amplifiers. I've got the Roland KC110 stereo keyboard amp, and I've got the Roland Cube Street EX, which is a stereo operated PA, and these are both phenomenal. This one is 30 watts when plugged into the wall, into your AC, your mains. 20 watts when you're running on 8 AA batteries. This one is a whopping 50 watts of power, whether you're plugged into the AC mains, your wall, or on 8 AA batteries. I don't know how they did that, but that is really an accomplishment. That's a feat of engineering right there. 50 watts of power on 8 AA batteries. They both weigh about 16 pounds or so. Unreal. I mean, this is a real godsend for a gigging musician or a busking musician or whatever. With this 50 watt amp over here, you can basically handle a crowd of 100 people easily, even more, and you won't even turn your gain all the way up. With this one over here, anywhere from 30 to 80 people, depending on the venue, whether you're indoors or outside, the size of the room, how much noise there is, and so on and so forth. But this definitely has the ticket and has this one beat as far as putting out volume. Now, as far as the actual quality of the sounds, this one has two 6.5-inch woofers and two 2-inch tweeters. This one has two 8-inch woofers and two 2-inch tweeters. Now, 8 inches can move more air than 6.5 inches. We know that. But at the same time, under certain circumstances, this will sound better than this. Not when it comes to volume, just when it comes to certain sounds. If you're using a keyboard or something like that under certain circumstances, and I'll get into that in a minute. But let me just get into this. You've got channel 1 here is a mono channel which you can use a microphone with, an XLR microphone, or a line input. Channel 2 is a stereo input, so you have two 1/4-inch inputs here left and right, which you can use for a keyboard or other instrument. It doesn't have to be the same instrument. You can hook up something else. You can hook up a drum machine to the left and a keyboard to the right. You give up your stereo keyboard if you want to do it that way. And channel 3, the same thing, a stereo input pair left and right, where the left is mono, or you can use both to have stereo. Those are the unique inputs over here. On this one, you have 4 unique inputs. On channel 1 and channel 2, you can have either XLR or line inputs, meaning you can have a mic on line 1 or line 2 or both, or you can have a guitar on line 1 or line 2 or both, or a mixture of mic and guitar on each of those channels, okay? And each of those channels has 3-band EQ, low, medium, and high, or bass, mid-range, and treble. So you can adjust the EQ on that with the first 2 channels. That's where everything presents kind of a problem to a keyboardist, because if you're going to be playing somewhere and you've got somebody on a mic, or maybe you're on the mic, and you got somebody else on a guitar, well, that leaves your keyboard to go into the remaining 2 inputs, which is the line in, left and right, and there is no tone control on those inputs. Unlike line 1 and line 2, those are the only ones that have EQ. The rest of these inputs do not. So basically, line 1 and line 2 control the EQ before it hits the amp. On this particular model, the KC110, the EQ is controlled after the amp, before it hits the speakers. So basically, you've got low and high. It's a 2-band EQ, low and high, or bass and treble. so it controls the entire mix. It's a different way of doing things, but it gets it done. So again, you got 4 unique inputs here. The first 2 can be mic or guitar, and the next 2 are line inputs, stereo left and right. Over here, again, channel 1, you have a guitar, or you've got a mic, or you've got a line. Channel 2, left and right, stereo pair 1/4 inch. Channel 3, stereo pair 1/4 inch. Now, they also go beyond that, and they each offer auxiliary input, which can be in the form of either an 1/8 inch mini jack stereo, which can hook up to your MP3 player, your iPad, your iPhone, whatever. Okay, same thing over here. Now, the stereo separation on here is not so great. I mean, the speakers are really close together. So yes, you are going to hear a stereo if you're just a few feet away from it on both of these. But when you are in a crowd, that stereo dissipates and you're going to lose it. So basically it's a mono amp. So if you are using a keyboard, especially on this one, all you really need is the left of your keyboard, which is usually a mono out, to the mono in here, another left, and you're all set. But again, if you're using mics or guitars over here, you're going to lose the ability to control the EQ of the keyboard, so you're going to have to control the EQ of the keyboard from your keyboard. And there's a lot of keyboards out there that have that right on the surface. They got the knobs there for the EQ. Others, no. You have to go into some kind of menu to control the EQ, and some of them, yet you can't even control the EQ at all. So those where you can't control the EQ, this is not so great because it's kind of short on bass unless you use EQ with the bass. All right, now let me demonstrate. Right now, both of these are going through line ins. Over here, I'm using left and right line in for channel 2 stereo, and I'm using a line in here for left and right. Now, let me put this on the Roland KC110 first. And we'll switch over to the Street QBX. Okay. Now I should point out this is about half volume over here, and over here this is like 1/4 volume. And right now, believe it or not, this is on economy mode. So on economy mode, that's the lowest amount of power. That's 10 watts, 5 watts per side. All right, I can go a lot higher, but the higher I go, the less clear it becomes. It starts distorting. All right, now let's go a little higher over here. Let's go actually to the full output. Nice. Let's go back to half over here. And over here, let's go to 2/3. Alright, so a big difference here. Let's go back to 1/4. Now, going to the middle, or 25 watts, they call this normal mode. And, of course, there's the max, 50 watts. And I'm only at half volume. So let me go back to normal mode over here. And let's get some rhythm going over here so you can see the difference between the two. We're going to start with this one. And let's go over here. go back here and go to full volume. Go over here. Increase the volume on the economy mode. And over here I can adjust the tone. I can give it more low, more high. Now I can't do that over here since I'm going in through line in, but if I use the first two channels I can do that. So anyway, let's go back here. This is normal mode. And then there's maximum mode. Go back here. All right, that's as loud as this one gets. All right, so you see that I can adjust the lows and the highs here because I'm adjusting the whole thing over here. So let me go over here, and I am going to switch these inputs to the first two so that I can adjust the EQ over here. And let's start this over again over here. We're going to go back to economy mode to start with. Now, sounds pretty flat. Let's add some bass. Let's do the same thing in the middle mode, normal. Now let's move to the maximum, 50 watts. Now I want to point out that right now the volume is like quarter volume, so I can still have a lot more volume with this. And I think you can see the difference between the three modes over here and between this and this. So that's really cool. So here's some other differences over here. Oh, as far as batteries go, the 8 AA batteries, okay, during the three modes, on Eco or Economy mode, using 8 alkaline AA batteries, you can expect to get 20 hours of service with that. You go to normal mode, 25 watts, you get 10 hours. And if you go to the max, 50 watts, you can have up to 4 hours. And again, it depends on how you use it. And I mean, if you're going to use this full blast and constant signal, yeah, it's not going to last so long. But most performances aren't constant signal. All right. And I think I went over this, the EQ and tone. The KC110 controls all channels because the EQ, 2-band only, is at the end of the amp before you hit the speakers. And with the CSEX, only the first two inputs have that. Okay. Now, this one over here, I believe, is lacking on the bass, and the highs are a little bit tinny when you're using not the first two channels, but anything else, whether it's the aux input or if you're using the line inputs. You don't have EQ control, so you're relying on the device that you're hooking up to this to control your EQ. If you don't have any control of your EQ for those third and fourth channels or for the aux inputs, it's not going to sound so great. All right, and that includes your MP3 player, your iPhone, whatever. Okay, now here's another thing. The left and right speakers over here, you've got stereo separation from left to right. The closer you get, the more you're going to hear the separation. Same with this. But if you're going to mount this on a speaker stand, this one, it has a mount on the bottom. You just mount it on the stand, you're okay. This one because it's tilted normally, which is cool if you're using this as an onstage monitor, but to mount this on a stand, it's not going to work that way. So what they do is they put the stand mount on this side over here. So you turn it like this and mount it on the stand, which is not cool for stereo separation because the speakers are now vertical rather than horizontal. Your ears are horizontal, they're not vertical. So you lose that with this. But they do offer a stereo I-Link operation where you can use two of these, one for your left and one for your right, to separate the stereo signal even more. There's some complications when you do that with cancellation, but we won't get into that right now. All right, got reverb and chorus on both of these. This one also has delay. This one also has Cosm effects, 6 different ones, and it does a great job with that for the guitarists out there. And it also has guitar tuning available. So that's basically it in a nutshell for both of these. Hope this has helped you out. Piano Man Chuck, peace out. Thanks for watching.